Hello and welcome to Encounter Roleplay on this fine Monday, the first day of finales week. How did that happen, everyone? Where did this season go? We have a bumper week coming up for you. I'm going to run through a couple of things really quickly. Tonight, right after this show, we are going to Dr. RPG, last Dr. RPG of the season, and the theme of tonight's show is murder. So if you enjoy a good giggle, make sure you stay tuned after we're done here because that will be coming up. Tomorrow, in addition to our regular Pendragon's Parish, Secrets of Pendragon, that's what we called it this season, we have a bonus one-shot of a cool game that's on Kickstarter right now called Good Strong Hands. So that'll be coming up 5 p.m. tomorrow. We've got our regular double on a Wednesday, and then on Thursday we have another one-shot for Parslings, which will be at 3 p.m. before our Klingon Star Trek Adventures show. And then Friday is a triple bill, as far as I'm aware. And then, guess what, fam? Because we can't finish on time, there's some overspill to next week. So keep an eye out for all of the bonus episodes and things going on next week. Because finales, goodbyes aren't forever, I suppose. Only very temporary. But for now, this is our last game on the Crown Lands for now. And I want to say a thank you to our sponsors here on Encounter Roleplay, Modifius, who produce games like Star Trek Adventures and Dishonored, and our cult sponsorship from Helmgast. I'm excited for the game of that on Wednesday, which won't be the finale, but we have a ton of special guests coming in, so that's all going to kick off. But let's go around and talk to the guests, the very special cast that I have with me today. And let's begin at the top of the pile with Nuno. How you doing, friend?
Hello. It is I. Very well, thank you. It's been a very busy week, so I'm really looking forward to see what happens. I cannot believe this is the last episode. It seems like we started 2 weeks ago or something. This is insane. But it is what it is, and things happened last episode, so I'm really eager to see what happens with a certain member of the family, which is in dire need of help. We'll see, Charlie.
Don't worry, I'm sure Asta will be fine. How is Adeline doing, though, Shauna?
Adeline's probably not doing great. She's confused. She has no idea what this supernatural stuff is happening around her. All she knows is her former lover's in the boat with her. That's not concerning at all.
Not at all. And Susie, I think I should just let you know that Valkana says, I hate goodbyes, so maybe next season should start next week. How are you feeling about that?
Well, hey, so you see about that, not quite ready for that. But, when next season hits, I'm sure it's going to be very good.
I mean, I hear rumors. I hear things in the grapevine.
I've heard stuff. Little iffy about who maybe has been chosen to GM next season, but I don't know. I could possibly comment on that.
It's all right. You know nothing, Susanna Snow. I am so excited to dive into today, and I would like to actually set an agenda for today. Before we get into tonight's show, I want to do a little bit of pre-game. This is something we usually do in private. I normally message everyone and say, hey, what's your goal? What's your actionable agenda? And I think this is the perfect time to do that. So let's begin with Allegra. We're going to go in reverse order. What's one actionable goal that Allegra has?
One actionable goal that Allegra has is to stop Asta from marrying that woman.
Oof. That woman. You mean Zamina Will?
That woman, yes.
That woman. That awful woman, right?
Mm-hmm.
Stealing your little bro.
That's not what it's even about, Charlie Smith. Don't pull that shit. I see you.
All right. And Shauna, what is one actionable goal that Adeline has?
Is this Stella, actually? And what is happening? What is happening around her is what she really wants to find out right now.
All right. Answers about Stella. All right.
Answers.
Yes, I can understand why it is so. Finally, what's an Asta's goal, you know?
Before I have to say that what is happening is one of the best goals we've ever had on the entire show. What is happening? Very good.
I mean, that's the meta overarching question, right?
Yeah,
What is happening?
pretty much.
It's
But
like
no,
everyone
for
reads my
Asta,
notes and knows that's the question I ask myself every week. What is happening?
every week. But yeah, for Asta, I think one actionable goal would be to have some sort of power at Belsea. So been given some kind of position. Maybe like the representative in King's Landing. We'll see what he can pull off.
Oh, I really like that. Asta's on the ladder, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, until he falls, but yeah.
Well, we know what Asta's like. Let us, however, go and pan to a lake. A lake that has been long sought out by a number of people, with crystal waters that reflect a night sky, crescent moon overhead, green lush banks around and tall trees, a gloomy and ominous air surrounding it. On one side, a cart parked, surrounded by bodies of dead. On another bank, a chorus of women chanting in strange tongues, some vague High Valyrian woven with other languages. Across the water, on a third bank, shadowy figures stand observing the scene. Maybe there, maybe not really there. And in the center of the lake, causing ripples and cascades, gripping to a raft of reeds, Adeline, and a woman we know as Della, recently surfaced from that silty bottom, reborn from the blood and the sacrifice of friends and family. The woman who warned that one day the mother of beasts would lead death across Westeros, waking an army and signaling the longest of nights. Because as ever in Westeros, winter is coming. Adeline. The water of the lake is freezing. You barely cling to this raft, having been upended and gone underwater very briefly. Opposite you, a hand clutches, and the face of Della rises spluttering from the lake, her black hair gripping to her forehead, soaked through. And that hand touches yours, and it's exactly that same feeling as you'd had in the dream. When she'd taken your hand, when she'd said she'd been waiting. What do you do, Adeline?
Her eyes are wide. This was something she wasn't expecting. She knows that this isn't a dream and that she is in front of her and she doesn't feel the coldness of the lake and that the world might as well not exist outside the confines of this boat for the moment. With one hand clinging onto the boat, she'll lightly touch Della's hand, hold it, go closer. Is that you? Is that you?
Ada, I've had the strangest dream. And as you see her blinking, and she tries to wipe a small bit of mud from her face and push her hair back, and familiar, gaunt eyes look to you, that strange grey-brown they had, which Allegra so lovingly describes as muddy.
How are you here? You're They told me that you had died. That your family killed you. How are you here?
They promised me that you would find me. And you have.
Who's they? Who's they?
The old ones. They whispered to me in the woods. They told me stories. They promised if I laid the trail, you would find me. Because you're the great huntress. I don't know where I was. It was a dark place. It was so... And she looks over you, her eyes panning up to the sky suddenly, and you see them roll back until you can just see the whites, and she begins to slip from the raft.
I'll try and just grab onto her arm and just try and keep her from going underneath the water.
All right, so this will be a quickness test, agility quickness.
Okay.
Please.
All right.
And we are really close to our 20 retweet goal, which will unlock a truth for one of our players. Give them the power, fam.
18.
On an 18, you lunge forward and you grab onto that arm. And as you grab onto her arm, it's cold, pale. But around you, what strikes you is the screams. All of the witches that had gathered on the bank, those strange women, let out a harsh and pained sound. And through the woods, thundering sound of hooves. Many hooves. And a war cry. Fire and blood. As through the woods crash an army of Targaryen men. And Allegra, you see them arrive. As that ever-present looming man behind you says the words and asks, "How many?" Allegra shakes her head and refuses to speak.
I think Allegra is still pretty shell-shocked, and she's not sure whether this is real or whether this is still not a dream. And I think she's just watching for the time being, just seeing what happens.
And you watch as these men on their horses, some of them dismount, some of them continue the charge, and they plow into the crowd of women at the bank, their swords slicing, ribbons of blood cascading through the night down into the mud. And across the way, you see Tala still scrambling with the body of your brother. She seems completely oblivious to these Targaryen men.
I think partly Allegra is very happy to watch these Targaryen soldiers plow through these witches. They've just murdered her brother, they took her sister. But as she can see that Tala isn't reacting to what's happening around her, she screams Tala's name to try and alert her to what's going on.
All right, I'd like you to make a will roll, please. I would say you could apply courage test dice.
I do not have courage.
Okay.
So that's just 12.
Oh, Susie, I forgot to let you know, but the wonderful Pope gave a gift sub to Volcana and unlocked an extra dice for you.
Oh,
so you
sweet,
have
let's use it now.
2 test dice for today, and Nuno, you have 1 test dice up on screen. Just so
All
you're
right,
aware.
let's do one.
All right,
So that's a
throw one on.
16.
16! Alright. You scream it out. And you see Tala's head wrench around at an alarming speed. And her eyes go wide, and she scrambles up, slipping in the mud awkwardly. She's still your sister, even now. And she lets out a cry. and her arms go wide and she looks up to the moon, and you see her eyes shut, and the only thing that gives away anything is the slight quiver of her lip as she still tries not to cry. Adeline, you hear the sounds of these men rushing in, you hear the screaming of the women, and then you hear the massacre that is erupting on the lakeside. But you are here floating, gripping to Della on this life raft. What do you do?
I'm gonna try and get in and pull her in. Get out of the water first.
All right. I'm going to say that you can do this, but it's going to take your kind of turn this action to just do this movement, to paddle this raft. Which bank are you pushing it to? There's one which has Tala and the cart, which still has horses attached. There's the bank where there's currently the women engaged in this combat with the Targaryens. And there's kind of the two empty banks on we'll describe it as the northwestern shore.
Toward Tarla.
All right. So that's the way you go. And you see her there, her arms raised up, slight quiver to her lips. And Susie, just so you can picture this, it's kind of one of those strange, like, dream movie things where you can see her face really close, even though she's really far away from you. You just, like, pin into things. And you can see her begin to whisper. But it's hard to make out the words. I would like you to make a cunning decipher roll, Susie. I'm just going to update your overlay while you do that.
That's a 13, which is actually really freaking good.
That's good. Okay, so you see that Tala is speaking common words. To begin with, it looks strange. You couldn't figure out, and everyone else seemed to be speaking in this Valyrian hybrid. But her words you see now are common. And she whispers of the mother and beasts, of the lies of dragons, and of a hunger that has lingered. But she is the rabbit. She is a huntress. And she is not afraid. And nobody will hurt her family. And with a exhale, her eyes open, and you see behind those eyes a fire. And it's that same fire you remember behind R'hllor's eyes when you chased after him the night she had gone missing. And out of the woods breaks a horse, dark and violent, and it charges in and begins to trample. It is on the far side. It is on the northeastern shore, if we'll describe it that way, and it's pushing through the melee down towards Tala. She tilts her head, and suddenly, out of the woods, all manner of beasts come, and they too join in the melee. Vicious weasels with tiny teeth, hawks with clawing. And it is a sound of death, of agony, of bird and beast and man and woman. And Adeline, you struggle to the shore. Tala stands. It is your turn.
Adeline is gets to the shore. If we leave the water, she still has her cloak. She's gonna kind of hold Della underneath the cloak, just kind of give her whatever warmth they had, even though it is freezing and the cloak is probably freezing cold as well. She's tired, staggers, looks at Tarla and just yells out her name as loudly as she can. It's a little weaker than she would have. It's like, Tarla, let's go home. It's over.
And as her head tilts slowly towards you, there's a strange vacantness in her expression. And she whispers, I can't go home. I'm the only one.
The only one for what?
And her head goes back to the sky and she screams at the stars, why didn't you protect him? And she looks down, slowly, a panning gaze to Jamie in the mud beside her.
I think this is maybe the first time that Alan knows that Jamie she looks and just her expression drops. She couldn't tell what was happening on the shore. She was out of her mind and in the boat. She didn't realize what happened to him. Jamie. Oh, gods. We need to go. Come back with me back home.
You
We
need
need to take him.
Take him. Take her. She's what they want. They can't have her. They have such terrible plans, and it's not how it has to be. And you can see a shake now to those outstretched hands which have clawed very slightly as she's holding what you imagine is focused somewhere else in her mind. You've seen a red priest once in your life, and you've seen that distantness they have when they're reading visions. You've seen it in Della. And you can only assume that this is a similar thing, that they're somewhere in their own mind and not entirely here with you.
She is going to slowly make her way to Tarla. She's going to put her hand weakly on her shoulder. We came here looking for you. Don't tell me I lose my family here. Please come back home. Please. What do I tell them if you don't come back?
Adeline, I'd like you to make a persuasion convince roll.
All right.
And this is going to be against Tala's will. Empathy, which is what she uses for magic, and I'm going to roll that for Millie because she's not here. 6.
Cool.
Alright, I know what I've got. 12. You beat Tala's 11. So.
Oof.
She looks to you and her whole body sags as if a weight has suddenly been dumped on it. And her hand reaches out to mirror yours on her shoulder. So she has her hand on yours. And she looks you in the eye, and it's those familiar, friendly eyes of Tala. But she doesn't speak. Instead, in your mind, you see a riverbank. You see an array of stars up above you. You hear your own laughter and hers as you discuss being free to make choices. And then aloud you hear her whisper, "But I'll always come back. Always come home. I miss Asta." But
Yes.
Adeline, it's not my time to come home yet. And I need you
Or
to
what?
do something for me. Please.
Why can't you come back home?
Because I know their secrets. Adeline, please, if you've ever trusted me, I need you to agree to do one thing. And then I need you to go home. So that when I get back, we can talk all about it, alright?
I told you. How much it means to live the life that you want. And it sounds good. It has this romantic notion to it, but Tarla, I've done that. I wanted to live how I want. And there are sacrifices, there are things
I know.
that you lose. There are
And
things.
if I don't want to lose everything, Adeline, I need to sacrifice going home right now. So that I can go home tomorrow.
Alan will look down at her and just know what you're doing. Ever since your parents died and your sister went off, all we ever wanted was to make sure that you had a life that we didn't have. And just I wish it didn't have to be this way. I wish you could just come home. You could find someone, share your life with, and not carry the burden that you have. I don't want you to have the life that I have.
Then I need you to protect Diffin. And she is going to roll Persuasion Convince against you, because I have Tala's sheet in front of me.
Yeah.
Listen to all these dice. Thank you, Millie. You built her good.
Oh.
Ooh. 6
Oh,
goes
no.
there. 6 goes there. And
Ooh.
a couple more. Yeah. Alright, so that's 6, 12, 18, 20. 20. I'm not going to go and look at benefits. It's too complicated. 20 on the dice with 2 6s.
Oh, God. This is
versus your intrigue defense.
Oof, it's 9.
Alright, so this is double your intrigue defense, so she's going to get crits on top.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And her damage is... so 9 is 1, 13 is 2, 17 is 3. If she'd have hit 21, that would have been 4, but she's on 3, so that's 3 times 4 is 12 points of composure damage, some of which will be soaked by your DR, plus the 2 crits. Let me go and check what it is when I get 2 crits. Sheet's 1.2. Second crit is... Vulnerable hit. Permanently reduce your opponent's DR by 1.
Oh.
So whatever your defense rank is against Tala, is permanently... You are unable to soak that additional one.
Oh, geez. That's...
And the convince is in regard to she wants you to protect Diffin. That's what the roll was for. All right. I will remind you can take frustration in an intrigue, but it will reduce all of your rolls by 1d for the duration, and you can only reduce intrigue damage by your will rank.
Okay.
So every frustration equals that amount of will rank soak. For
Okay.
You.
I will take that frustration then, because I think Helen's gonna be
Okay.
a little. She's gonna try and stay on this point a little bit.
All right. I feel like you made your argument, so why don't you make that persuasion convince? Unless you feel like you've been deceptive or you want to use another tactic.
Oh no, this is a convince. And this is minus. It's a
minus 1d, so you
minus
still
1.
roll.
Yep.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But then you reduce by one of those dice. It almost turns one of your test dice into a bonus dice, essentially. But
okay. Healthy dice 1. Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
6.
Hmm.
All right. So she asks you, and you can see that she's genuinely afraid. She genuinely believes what she's telling you is the truth, and that she needs you to protect Diffin. And then her head snaps, and you hear a cry of pain from a horse. And Tala's face grimaces, and she staggers, and that arm holding onto you is the only thing that keeps her from falling to the ground. Lord, he's in trouble. And she's staring across the lake in almost a paralysis of fear, of pain, of uncertainty as to what to do. Della, meanwhile, is kind of slumped against the raft. She's in and out of consciousness, it seems. Weak is definitely the entire language that you get from her body.
Everybody, I think, is on their last leg as far as.
And the horses behind you attached to that cart are getting disquieted. They're kind of shuffling, they're nervous. It's almost like they can smell smoke on the air. It's that same, they know something bad is happening.
Okay. She will make sure that Tarla doesn't fall down. She will look. And what about you? You tell me to protect him. What about you?
For once in my life, Adeline, someone really needs me. And neither side can succeed in what they want to do without me. And I'm not powerless anymore. And her eyes shoot up to the sky. And out of her mouth, there's this rushing sound like gale as wind rattles through stone. It's a scream, but it's not a human one. And charging out is a blast of air. And it pushes across the lake, and you see a swathe of Targaryen men thrown into the air and across into the lake with a splash. And you can see R'hllor, his hooves coming down on one of the men who fell before him. Allegra, you watch as men and women die. Watch as Tala and Adeline desperately try to reach an accord. And you know that he is waiting for an answer.
Allegra is fully crying at this point. She's just her cheeks are just drenched with tears, and she's heartbroken and angry all the same. She spins to face this figure, and she looks it in the eye. No more from me. No more of my family, no more that I love.
Agreed. And you feel something pass you. It's almost like a cloak brushing against you. And you watch as each of those across the bank begins to cry out in fresh agony. Some clutch at their throats, some at their faces, some at their chests. Does one have regrets, Susanna?
Mirror in my head doesn't, but Allegra does.
And you see the shadow turn back to you. Every time you manage to catch it with your eyes, it's as if it goes out of focus. It's a hard thing to catch exactly. It is a shadow. It's a strangeness. Who will pay?
For what? What do you want from me? What have you always wanted from me?
Allegra, did you ever speak to your mother of the little boy that died?
She never told me much. Just who he was. That he died.
Did she ever tell you that she was afraid that you would die as well?
No? What are you saying?
You were her first daughter. You were the one that she chose.
Oh, I think Allegra's knees buckle a little at that.
When I came to you at Famine's Hold, you told me no. And I was proud. Because you, Allegra, are my daughter. But we are of a world unbalanced and unkind. We must ask, how many and who? There are those who ask for a name, those sworn to follow me and do my work. Their understanding is crude, but the tradition is amusing. Allegra, give me a name.
I don't know that I can.
Susie,
Yes.
we have unlocked a truth for a player.
Mm-hmm.
And I have rolled GM roll, because I didn't want to put it publicly because everyone would know what I was doing. And you got the truth.
Okay.
There are many secrets. Some of them big, some of them small, some of them terrifying. What is one truth about Westeros? Allegra Dorsey.
Ooh, Ooh, boy. Man. About Westeros? Or, like,
Can be
just...
something to do with this scene, something to do with this
Mhm.
conversation. You are free, and it will be the truth. I will get to add to it, as is the normal rule, but the core of this truth is the truth. It's not like a wish spell where I can mess around with your words. The core of your intention is the truth.
Oh, man. Whew. Whew. Okay. The truth. The truth is that Carrie Dorsey is not Yanis's son. And his mother, Yanis's mother, suspects as such.
Ooh, all right. I'm gonna actually hold on to that, and I will add a truth later. All right, very interesting. So, what you would consider the stranger, for you follow the 7, asks you for a name.
Oh, God. Well, there's one that immediately springs to mind. Okay, no, all right, fuck it, let's do it. Big red buttons, finale. Allegra looks sick as she says this. But she says, Marguerite Dorsey.
And for a second time in your mind, it's like a tolling of a bell. You hear the word, done. And you awaken in your bed. You feel like you've already awoken once tonight, but you're not sure. And you get, again, a cramping feeling. You get a headache feeling, and you get a sickness as your stomach clenches. And I'm going to auto-fail this for you as you throw up off the side of your bed. And you are stricken with a fever.
Tight.
Adeline. Time is pressing as the fighting continues. You're not sure who's winning, but the violence is spilling out. Anyone who crosses anyone's path seems to just be seen as an enemy. It's dark, it's confusing. And every now and again, the clouds pass before that crescent moon, and the entire world seems to go black.
Yeah. After that show of power, Alan, while a good soldier, a good fighter, suddenly realizes she is walking in place that she should not, that are out of her view, out of her league. And that show of fear, she closes her eyes, exhales. She'll take a moment. What's Tarla doing right now, right at this moment?
Tala, you feel her hand is gripping your shoulder a little bit tighter after she's exhaled this power. But she is pulling herself back up to her full height. She's distracted. She's worried. You can see tears on her cheek. She's covered in mud and blood. But she's watching that fight. And you can see her lips forming words, but the sounds aren't quite coming. It's begging words, please.
So she will embrace Tarla It's one of those hugs where like there's Adeline is probably a good deal taller than her. She'll rest her chin on her head and just close her eyes. We better see you again. And at the same point, she's starting to cry.
And
If we don't see you soon,
mm-hmm.
you know I can find you. And just know. We're proud of you. I'm proud of you.
It'll be like hide and seek. I'll always want you to find me. I promise I'm coming home. And you feel her hand snake as it looks for yours, and she binds your fingers together, kind of tangling them up. All the pinky promises. You need to look after her. They gave her new life, but she could die like anyone else. And please, you have to look after Diffin. And
Why him?
because they want all the dragons dead. And I think he's a good man. And if I can protect anyone else, I will send you word. Please.
I'll do it.
We're being watched. And her eyes go up to the sky and she's scanning it. She's looking. I'll find you.
She'll look at her in the eyes. I've lost too many people. Please take good care of yourself. I'll do what you asked.
You hear the sound of hoofballs coming across the muddy bank as the injured horse R'hllor comes to its mistress. He's huffing and he paws at the ground aggressively towards you. Tala turns and says, "Silly horse. Silly R'hllor. She won't hurt me." But she's beginning to pull away. And you can hear that R'hllor is being followed. Those are the Targaryen forces that can still stand are rushing after the horse. You hear them call out, "Can't let them escape. None of them can live." Their orders are clear.
And it's just us on the lake right now, after this.
On this side of the lake, so you've got Della down on the ground by where the raft is pulled up. You've got the cart behind you with the 3 bodies of the women still in. And Jamie's down on the floor, kind of next to you and Tala. And R'hllor is here, but you can hear these men approaching, and they're coming at quite some speed down the side of the bank. R'hllor was faster, but they're not too far behind.
She'll let go of the embrace. You need to do what you need to do, as do I. Is there anything you want me to tell them?
Tell them I love them. Make sure the hayloft has lots of hay. And you should give this back to Danella. And she reaches up and unclasps the necklace from around her neck and holds it out to you. I think it's probably Allegra's.
It is. I will. She'll smile. I'll make sure she gets this.
Go.
And the Adeline will take thing, but she'll kind of make it so that contact lasts longer than it normally would before she finally pulls her hand back. Take good care of yourself.
I will. Go. And she pushes you. It's not a violent shove, but it's like, you need to move.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it probably shocks Adeline out of this moment, but she'll take Della and have her seated on the cart, and she'll take Jamie and put him in there as well.
All right.
And we will go.
All right, and as you turn to leave, you hear a voice cry out, "No! Leave Lady Tala alone!" And so Tim, brandishing a sword, charges the Targaryens as they charge for R'hllor. Your bow and arrows, Adeline, are next to you on the driver's seat of this cart.
How far is Tim away?
You've kind of turned to leave as you hear this cry. I'm gonna say probably 30 to 60 feet the cart's moved in this time.
She will yell, "Tim! Your knight needs you. Right now. Get back here."
And you can kind of tell it's too late. He's right meeting these crew. He's streaked out of the bushes to defend. And there's a great sword being swung towards this ambushing knight. And darkness crosses the lake as the clouds cross the moon. Adeline, the horses continue away from the lake as you turn and the scene illuminates. You can see R'hllor disappearing in the opposite direction, Lady Tala on top. If you'd like to see anything else, you will need to make an awareness notice check.
I can still see Tim though, right? Correct?
Nope.
Oh, no. I will make that awareness notice check if I can see. Ooh, that's not good. Alright, I can re-roll one dice, so I'm just gonna check if that adds anything to it. Say 16.
All right. Okay, that's cool. I love dice. They're wonderful. So, you turn and you squint at the scene, and you can see Tim is not where he was before, about to be struck by that great sword. He is actually on the man's back. He has somehow gotten around the man and is attempting to throttle him with a sword. The man is dropped his greatsword to the ground and is tussling, trying to shake this child loose as the sword is cutting ever so finely into his throat. It's a dark and grim scene, so you can't see the specific gore of it, but it seems currently Tim is winning. He is currently gripped onto this man's back. But there are 2 more Targaryen knights bearing down and a host of others still around. Della is muttering in the back of the cart. Seems like she's having some very strange dreams.
Madeline is going to stand up, grabs her bow. She sees the 2 knights. She knows what she has to do. She knows she can make this shot.
Make the
She'll make
shot.
sure that
Make
shot.
the
Yep.
shot.
She'll take 2 arrows out of her quiver.
Yes.
She'll make that. She'll try and get both those knights. Cover certain.
Right. Are there mechanics for when you make a difficult shot, Shauna?
A difficult shot?
Mm-hmm. Or do you have a benefit that allows you to fire 2 arrows at once?
Oh, I do. It's double shot.
Okay. Perfect.
Yes.
All right then. Perfect. So roll me that double shot.
It just means I take a negative on my marksmanship.
Perfect. Yeah, I was just curious what the mechanics were. I'm here for it.
Yeah.
I don't play combat characters in this system, so I'm like, it's all new and exciting for me.
Oh, jeez. All right, that's the first one. All right.
Yep, that one will hit.
Gee, oh boy.
Oof.
Oof.
All right, describe for me the scene. Those hit. Just tell me how you kill them. Do it for me. 3 6s in that first one and 3 6s in the second one.
She's done this before. She gets that look. It's the same look that Aster saw, where she kind of like her eyes deaden a little bit as she focuses in on both of them. They're at a distance where she sees exactly where she needs to. She has done this before during the war, where there'd be knights on their own. She knows where to aim, where the armor is weak. She zeroes in, pulls back in a swift motion, fires, grabs the second arrow, puts the second arrow, and then fires again, moving slightly, as the arrows both find them. Just both in each socket. As they fall.
And the knights collapse down. The one that Tim is grappled with falls to his knees, and that sword cuts deeper and deeper into the knight's neck, and Tim is letting out this kind of growling cry as he's using all of the strength in his arms. All of that time spent grooming and looking after horses is now being channeled into the destruction of this man. And he pulls that sword clean across and out, and he holds it up, and he turns to fight the next man as that second arrow streaks out and you knock him down. And then he looks around and he runs, scrabbling through the mud away from the man he just hurt, to you. Hurries to you. And you realize that he is holding Jamie's sword. I'm sorry, Lady Adeline. Just had to help. They killed Jamie. I mean, sir.
I know. I know. You did what you could, Tim. That was very brave, Tim. But we need to go. There'll be time for you.
Go!
Yourself. But we need to leave.
And he's scrabbled off into the seat beside you, and he's taken the reins, and he's starting to strike down on the horses' rumps to get them moving. He's calling to them various names, some of them less friendly than others. But the cart begins to pick up pace. And the screams.
I think Adeline's just gonna just stay standing and just just look forward, see if there's any more of these knights following them. She's
the screams
ready,
and the
but
cries are dying out behind you, but you do see a couple come after, and you are able to fend them off either by hindering or killing. And you remember a moment on the fields of red grass when you'd had the greatest archer of the time in your sights. Your bow had been leveled. And then the cart hits a bump. And your legs are shaken and you're forced to crouch. And in that memory, you recall how you hadn't made that shot. Shauna, how or why did Adeline not make that shot on Blood Raven that day?
because that's when an arrow just slams into her shoulder. And she goes down.
We are going to cut to Belsi Castle. Asta, you heard the murmurs of Allegra and Danella in their sleep. How many? How many? First words you've ever heard Danella speak. You'd had a strange night of dreams and you'd come to see your sister. And you'd come across them asleep, just in time to hear these words spoken. You're in the doorway of their room. Asta, what do you do in this moment?
I think upon hearing the voices, he would stop in his tracks and just listen for a while longer, just in case it was some kind of hushed conversation they would be having. He has no idea they're just dreaming, right?
You think they're asleep, but it's not clear. There's something. You know what? Hang on. Let's do. Let's do an awareness empathy roll.
Okay. 14.
You have a gut feeling. This is weird because Danella doesn't talk. She hasn't said a word in her life. That is the fact.
Yeah.
And she says 2 words very clearly, just seconds after Allegra said them herself.
I think he was probably like about to knock, but hearing this from the inside of the room, he probably just tries and very slowly turn the knob and get inside without making too much noise as to not wake them up.
And as you do, it's this moment when Allegra vomits, kind of curled over on herself at the side of the bed, shaking. Danella is sound asleep just across the room in her cot.
Yeah, Aster just disregards for any silence whatsoever, and just like as he sees that, just opens the door wide open and rushes to Allegra's side. What's wrong, Allegra? Are you okay?
Aster. And Allegra is shaking. She's covered in like a cold sweat. She's feverish to the touch. And her cheeks are wet with tears as she looks at you, and her eyes, I imagine, are bloodshot and terrible. It's Jamie, Esther.
What about Jamie? What?
He's dead.
What do you mean he's dead? How do you know? What? Why? What?
I saw it all in a dream, Esther. Tala was there. Madeline and Jamie. And he's gone.
Shh, it's okay. It's just a dream. Just a nightmare.
It wasn't
It's
a dream,
okay.
Esther. It wasn't a dream. I saw it all. And she's muttering like, I saw it. And she's shaking.
Okay. Let just try and calm down. Breathe in. Slowly. You're burning up. You're not okay, Allegra. I should get help.
And she just sort of nods as she, like, what? Leans over to puke again. And I think she's managed to pull herself up into a seated position, and she's got her blankets around her shoulders, and she's just kind of huddled over.
Yeah. And kind of hurries towards the door and stops at the door frame, turns back. Was this dream like the one in the boat, Allegra?
It was different. It was like I was there. I was watching it all from across the lake. And they were so far away, but so close I could hear everything and see everything.
Okay.
But I know it was real.
I hope you're wrong.
I can feel it, Asta. I feel it in my heart. I feel that emptiness. He's gone.
What of Tarla?
I don't know. I think she got away.
And Adeline?
I lost track of Adeline. She was on a cart, I think. There were soldiers and other women. They all arrived, and there was a battle. There's so much death, Asta. So much death. The screams.
At this point, he rushes back towards the bed. This is like trying to comfort you. It's okay. It's okay. We'll get to the bottom of this. Just try and stay calm. We need to understand if this was just a dream or not.
It's real, Asta. Please, just believe me for once.
Okay. I'll believe you. But first, let's make sure that you're okay. He brushes back again. Charlie, in the castle here, would there be a maester perhaps, or someone that would treat the ailments of the body?
Yes, House Bywater does have a maester.
Okay. So we'd hurriedly get to the maester and ask for help as Allegra is burning up
Alright.
with fever.
Maesters in this game famously good at healing. They've never let anyone down.
No.
8, 9, 10, 13, he succeeds. So he manages to diagnose that Allegra is pregnant to start with, figures that one out, and that she is very sick. And will need some care. Diagnosis check complete.
Treatment check.
Treatment check.
This is where it kills me.
19, 20. There you go.
Hey.
Holy shit.
So he explains to Asta that Allegra is going to need rest for a week. This is a stress of the body. She's underfed, for one. And he asks you for some details about, what's going on with her and things like that. And he gives Allegra a tonic to drink and basically is staving off the fever with cold rags, with water fresh from the sea. It doesn't come much colder than that. And he says that she's going to need to rest for a week here with him. But she should be at least able to talk with you in the morning. And he'll send for you.
Yeah. So I guess Arthur would ask to stay there until she drifts off to sleep again and then come back in the morning.
My lord, it's very nice, I'm sure, that you would want to comfort your sister, but she is asleep and won't know you're here.
No, you're right. I'll just stay until I'm 100% sure that she's resting. Don't worry, I won't bother her through the night.
Be probably better for her if you say your prayers and get some sleep yourself.
Prayers. Sure, hasn't done much good till now. I'm afraid I'll have to insist. Worry not. I shall leave in a moment. Let me just stay here. I won't touch anything. I won't make anything worse, I promise.
We'll give you a few moments, my lord, and then I will ask you to leave.
That is acceptable.
And he shuffles out. He is a tall man, but with a bent back. And he strikes you in memory of Bryce, your stable master. There's something similar in their facial features. Something friendly, almost. He'll tell you straight. At least that's that familiar feeling. Whether or not you trust that feeling is up to you. Yeah. And he'll leave you for a moment, making some excuse, going to check the ravens, perhaps. But he will be back in a few moments.
So we'll sit down next to Allegra and check if she's still awake or conscious.
I think she's right on that edge, right, where she's drifting off. She's not fully lucid. Because I imagine the Maester helped her, give her something to sleep too if she's being fitful and asleep.
Yeah.
So she's right on that when you're drugged and you're edge.
Allegra, still here?
Mostly.
I will assume that what you said really happened, Allegra. This is dire news. We need to plan, but I need you to rest. You mustn't worry about any of it. You need to sleep now. For you and for your child.
Esther, I need my children. Please, can you send for them? I need to see them, Master. I need to hold them.
I can see what can be done. I'll ask Aunt Rhiannon if she can send word.
Thank you.
But you have to rest.
Esther.
Yes.
Please be careful. You're all I have left.
I will. I promise.
And she's very like her hand. She doesn't have full control of her hand, but she reaches for Asta's hand and gives it a tight squeeze before she drops off.
As Aster notices that she drifts off to sleep, he just stays there for a few more minutes and just looks at her with a worried look on his face and just whispers, "What does how many mean? What is it, Allegra?" And slowly stands up and informs the Maester that he's free to continue these treatments, and it goes back to sleep.
And Asta sleeps a long time. He's tired. He's had a lot of shit to deal with. He's had a heck of a week with Bellamy before this. And when you awake the next afternoon, it's because the Lady Rhiannon has sent someone for you. Your uncle, Donegal, is kind of being laid to rest, for lack of a better word. They're doing a kind of a send-off for him. It's a kind of a gloomy aspect that continues to linger. You are given the update that Allegra is still asleep, and the Maester says she's not to be awoken.
Yeah.
You get the impression that the Maester and the Lady Rhiannon had quite a disagreement over whether or not she should be awake for her uncle's burial.
Yeah, of course.
But the Maester won.
Yeah. So in that case, if he's someone, he'll get ready and dress as appropriately as he can with the resources that he brought from Fremen's Hold. And yeah, so as he approaches the place where the ritual has been had, he approaches Lady Rhiannon directly, and I am sorry, but I'm sure you've heard. My sister Allegra won't be able to make it, but I am here as a representative of the entire family. She's had a rough week and a rough night. She needs a rest.
Lord Declan refuses to leave his room. I'm not good with children.
I can try if you want to.
If you would, Asta, he should be here.
I agree. I'll see what can be done. He excuses himself and moves towards the little boy's room.
And it turns out he is not in his room. He is in his father's room. Which is not the Master Chambers, which was still kind of Aberon's room, but is essentially the Master at Arms bedroom. It's a secondary large bedroom of the house, very ornate. And Donegal has kept it clean and smart, but there's the hint here and there of his military preferences and his love of heraldry, things like that. And in the middle of his bed, the little boy curled up, his thumb in his mouth. And you can see he's holding on to one of his father's cloaks. He's kind of using it like a pillow. It's all bunched up.
So yeah, Aster kind of opens the door slowly and see if there's any reaction from the boy. If not, then he'll say, "So I was told there was a young knight to be in these chambers. Am I correct?"
Big sad eyes look over at you, thumb still in mouth. And he kind of mumbles, "Hello, Asta."
Oh no. Aster kind of walks up to the bed, kind of sits down, half on the floor with his arm on the bed, probably kind of to be at eye level with Declan. "Hello, cousin. I was told that you were too comfortable here and didn't want to leave. Is that correct?"
I don't want to see. He didn't come back, Asta.
No.
He said he was gonna get Tyros for the king. Said he was going to kill that bastard. He said I shouldn't say that word.
That's right, but In some occasions, I think you should be allowed to say those words. It's okay. He kind of rubs his back a little bit.
Isn't he Asta?
Yes. Yes, he is. And you know what? Your father made sure that we were one step closer. Almost there, getting that bastard. And if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have. Your father was a hero, you see? And that's why you should come with me.
But I heard that it was just his head. Where's the rest of him?
You see, the rest of him. What the fuck, Charlie?
Sorry. I just looked down and I'm like covered in lipstick from having my thing. Sorry, right. Back in a moment.
It doesn't matter where the rest of him is. The true qualities of a hero lie in his head, the way they think, Declan. That's all that matters. Your father was a hero. And this is no way to greet a hero when he comes back home for his final rest. You should be there.
Said that we're the sea and the rocks.
We are. You are, Declan. That's why you need to be as strong as a rock, but flexible and caring as water can be. But when needed, you need to be harsh and sting like tall waves in the sea, rocking our boats, sinking those that don't deserve to be here. And in some cases, the water does bring us back fallen heroes. Heroes that deserve to be celebrated, that deserve their children there by their side in their last moments. I'll tell you what. You come with me, and you wear that cloak, but like a proper knight. Not tangled in it. I'll help you. I'll carry it for you. And you go there and be a strong man, a strong young knight. How does that sound?
Does this mean that House Tremaine's my friend? Aunt Rhiannon said she didn't know.
I'm sure you've had quite a few conversations with your aunt. Do you think that if we weren't your friends, I would be here in your room? You know how she is sometimes.
Yes. She's very quiet. She doesn't like my games.
I know, and don't tell anyone I told you this, but she can be quite scary sometimes. And that's okay.
Where's Auntie Allegri?
Oh, she's here, but she's resting. She's had a very tiring week. She needs her sleep. But once she's recovered, I'll take you to her. How does that sound?
Okay. Are you sure that they won't say things?
What do you mean, say things?
There was a maid who looked at me sadly, and she said, "You poor thing, you can't run Belsey on your own." And Auntie Rhiannon said I had to be brave because I was gonna be the Lord of Belsey, and I don't know.
I'll tell you what. If everyone else ever tells you that again, you tell them they don't know what they're talking about, because you're a strong boy and you know the best for this house. And even if you don't, then you come to me and I'll help you in whatever you need.
All right. And he kind of is uncurling a little bit, and he's got that cloak out from underneath him, and he's kind of flattening it out, and he's trying to like push out the wrinkles he's caused in it. And it's just a simple blue woolen cloak. There is nothing particularly special about it. But it is, 6 foot long for a grown man.
Yeah.
Not built for a little boy.
Yeah. So I'll try and go into any drawer or chest or whatever that's here and try and find another cloak, a fresher one, and try and somehow make it smaller, maybe take the clasps of another one and clasp it in half or something, just so I can, yeah.
Okay, so you find it like a thinner cloak so you can double it up. And he stands at the edge of the bed, that thumb still in his mouth. And he's still got the other cloak kind of in his hand for comfort.
Okay.
And he'll let you fix it on if that's what you tell him to.
Yeah, I'll put the smaller one on him. All right, now, Lord Bywater, are you ready?
Yeah.
Good.
Is Luke in here?
No, he's not. He's protecting the king.
He's always doing that.
It's a very important job. You should be proud of your brother.
I am.
Yeah, of course. You are the lord of a house whose one of their members is part of the Kingsguard. That's something really important, huh?
My brother's very good. He knows how to use all of the weapons.
Yes. He taught me a fair deal of them, actually, and perhaps one day he'll teach you as well.
We should go then.
Let's go. And remember, if you feel overwhelmed at any point, it's okay. I'm there with you.
And as you turn to leave, you feel this little hand reach up and just grab yours. And he walks along, his new cloak on, and he's trailing the other cloak because he hasn't thought about letting it go yet. So his hands are just gripping onto things. But he's walking kind of upright, and the thumb is not in his mouth.
Good. Asser will kneel down, tussle his the new cloak a bit more, put it in the right position, and then slowly, without any abrupt movements, just start folding the one he's still holding, and kind of keep it and say, "All right, I'll hang on to this until this is finished, and then it's all yours."
You could wear that one. I give you permission.
Okay, that sounds good. And Asser will take his little sickle clasp and take his cloak off and put the green one.
Okay, so the rites at Belsey are a very simple affair for nobility. The body is generally burnt, and this has been kind of pre-done. And so there's kind of a jar that's been collected that holds what was once the head of Donegal Bywater. And you go up to the highest tower of Belsey, which looks out to the sea towards Bravos. And the maester and there's a septon there do the last rites as followed here. It's very kind of simple. They pray to the seven for various things. They say some nice words. And the ashes are scattered to the sea because the Bywaters are of sea and rock. And it is important that, they go away with the tides, but that their mark is remembered. And the whole time, the little boy Declan holds your hand, and he's asked to say some very simple words. He's given the words by the maester. You can see the maester kind of cueing him with what to say. And he gets through them. The Lady Rhiannon cries. She tries to hide it for the first half hour of this gathering, but by the end is just crying. And she looks more and more frail the more you look at her. But eventually, all of the words are said, and it is done. And it's declared that the Lady Rhiannon will be regent for House Bywater until Declan reaches an age where he can leave the house. And there's a part to it, it's almost like a wedding ceremony. Should anyone object, then they answer to the tides, to the seas and the rocks of Bywater lands, and to the crown. Essentially, if anyone has a problem with this, go and talk to the king and be aware that House Belsey will, or House Bywater will fight. There's then a simple meal of salted meat and bread. Fish is eaten only by the new Lord Declan, who isn't pleased. He wanted the meat and bread. But he does what he's told, and his aunt is a little severe with him, but he gets through it. Danella is there. She's quiet. She stays mostly out of people's way. And day passes into night. And the next morning, Allegra, you awake in the maester's study. And the Lady Zamina Will is sat beside your bed. Hi, Susie.
Why are you doing this to me?
My lady, you are awake.
Lady Will? I would stand to greet you properly, but... well...
That is not necessary. Please.
How can I help you?
Your brother is very concerned for your well-being. I told him that I would watch you this morning so that he could sleep.
It's very kind of you.
It is my intention that we will be family one day.
So I gather.
Watching over family should do.
I think Allegra just sort of, just watches her. She doesn't respond. Just watches her as she's speaking.
I have seen your face and the concerns you have in this matter. I am aware you are sick, and it is probably not the best time for such a conversation, but it seems there is always something, and I do not have the luxury of waiting forever for a right time. What is it that concerns you, my lady?
Why, Asta? Of all the men in Westeros, why him? He's from the Crown Lands, which is far from Dawn. His holdings are meager. There's not much family to speak of. No real power at court. If I was arranging this marriage, it would be a disaster.
You have not noticed how many Dornish are marrying in the north, in the Crown Lands, in the Reach. You have not... Have you not yourself married far from home, in a way?
In a way.
It is normal. People do not marry their neighbors, as people get afraid of the power that will grow in such a union. One house becoming a larger house. The
I imagine you're
difficult
quite familiar with
terrain.
that in Dawn.
Do you have a problem with the Dornish, my lady?
Not at all.
Your brother lives in a house, in a castle in the Crownlands. Yes. That is one of the reasons why he is of interest. It is not in the middle of a border. He impressed my brother. That is the second reason. My brother is an interesting man. My brother holds my house. I am a woman, and north of Dawn, things are different. But
You realize you marry Asta and you don't have a house anymore. You become the Lady Tremaine.
I gain a house, my lady.
That is true.
One which has certain qualities, if not current fortune. It is a day's ride from King's Landing. It has a long history. And if it is to have a future, it needs a marriage. There are a lack of eligible men at the moment, if you have not noticed, with your own daughter, searching for a match.
I have noticed.
I want my house, but I am not willing to fight forever for it. There is no sense in fighting for our life if you have no life to live.
That's kind of wise.
I have my advisors who tell me that Tremaine is a good match. And that I can do good things for the house as it can do for me. Astor is young and healthy. He survived the sickness of the house. He is the last, which means you will protect him. I am told that you do not want the house. And that is something I am trusting in as accurate information. Because whilst I will make my agreements for House Tremaine, I have no interest in a conflict with House Dorsey.
Again, very wise. There is nothing I would not do for my little brother. Just please bear that in mind.
That is why I come to you now. Astor needs to make the final decision, but I sense your influence will be important.
I fear you don't know Asta very well.
I do not. I have only briefly met him. I know only what others have said.
He's a good man, and he'll be a good husband. I had been hoping to speak to you regarding your cousin, Bastian.
What has he done now?
It's not him. I fear he's been murdered.
And her entire posture very briefly stiffens. That was not what she expected. She'd expected to hear something very different. But she lets the breath go that she's holding. A disagreement in a tavern, my lady?
No. I had been spending some time with him, and he had accompanied me to my family south to Storm's End. He was intending to carry on through to Will. He had heard things at Storm's End. He was very worried that something was going to happen. He'd arranged plans, and Allegra's kind of like trying to remember. Things are a little foggy still through the sickness. He'd arranged plans for us to take some horses and ride to Will to be safe. When I went to meet him, he was missing. Not heard anything from him since.
Her teeth grit, and you see the grind in her jaw. Esther and our house share a mutual enemy.
So I
An
learned.
enemy that I share with my brother. What is it you believe, truly in your heart, Allegra, about this matter?
And Allegra looks her dead in the eye, and she says with 100% conviction, they killed him.
Then they too will have to die. I trust you will not repeat those words.
I will not. I began to care for your cousin. Believe me, I am furious.
I cared for him as well. Although he was a thorn in my side in multiple ways.
He had told me all about you.
Oh, and what did he say?
I'm sure you can imagine.
Sure I can. I will bring a reasonable dowry. Money for this marriage. It will help with the castle, which I am aware is in some disrepair, if not collapsing in on itself.
It's quite literally a ruin.
Much like my life.
On that, we can agree.
My reputation is ruined in Dorne. I am unknown here. Could not make a better match. That is the truth of it. But there is an opportunity here. And I am told that your brother raises the finest horses.
So he will tell you. Listen, Lady Whale. I will give my blessing to this marriage on the condition that if you ever do anything to hurt, upset, or destroy my brother's reputation, I will bring down upon you a fury you have never seen.
Lady Allegra, I make you the same promise. If you do anything to harm, upset, tarnish my family's reputation, the memory of my cousin, you will feel the bite of a woman who will not easily let go.
And Allegra offers out a hand. Well then, sister.
And an elegant hand is placed in yours. You can see a number of rings on it. And she shakes. Sister. Deep bow of the head. If he truly does not want this, then persuade him away. But I will pursue him for my cousin's sake. In other regards. The Baratheons will pay. It is the way.
I look forward to it.
And she smiles, and it's one of the most dangerous smiles you've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
As do I. And she reaches down and unfastens a belt that's been around her waist. It's inlaid leather. Beautiful kind of scrolling flames almost around it and snakes. And attached to it is a dagger. And she lays this at your bedside. In Dorne, we all fight when one of our family is taken from us. When you are better, my lady.
Perhaps I'll have a few things to show you.
Perhaps you will. And she sits back and laughs. Game knows game.
I see her. I saw it.
And she'll step out, and she actually goes to Asta's room. And she'll knock on the door, and she'll let you know your sister is awake and has asked to see you.
Yeah, so we'll come to the door. Thank you once again for keeping an eye out for her. I shall go, and I promise I have not forgotten that we need to discuss important matters. It has been quite chaotic couple of days, as you might imagine.
Family comes first, my lord.
Indeed. Thank you for understanding.
If you will excuse me, I have agreed to have lunch with the Lord Bywater. He wishes to hear about the animals of Dorne.
I am sure that if it has been cleared by Lady Rhiannon, it should be fine.
I understand today she has taken to her room.
I see. In that case, let me accompany you. And then I shall leave you both.
How are you feeling this morning, my lord?
Honestly, not too bad. Despite everything that's happened these last few days, it is nothing in comparison where we stood a few weeks ago, so yes. I like to think that a brighter future is in our horizon. Close horizon, hopefully. How about you? How have you been finding Belsey?
It is a very large castle, my lord. And the sound of the sea is more soothing than I had thought it might be. It is more of a roar than it is down in Dorne.
I do believe you. Nonetheless, I do have to admit that my curiosity for Dorne is quite high. I've always heard stories since I was little. Always wanted to visit Dorne. Perhaps one day.
I mean to make peace with my brother, Astor, if this marriage proceeds. And then I am sure Lord Felion will welcome you into our home.
I see there is no point in constructing half sentences with you. I appreciate that. If you wish me to speak frankly, just say so and I will.
I would be very interested in your frank thoughts, my lord. You are both easy and difficult to read. I can
Don't
always
mistake
tell
that.
when you're about to win at cards. But I cannot tell what it is you really think of all of these.
Well, I wish I could help you in understanding myself better, but the truth is, that might be because I myself have not made my mind about several topics. I think about many things quite a lot, but when it comes to decisions, sometimes they are only done in the spur of the moment. Even though pondered, I take my time. Don't mistake that for skill. I see it as a flaw.
Might I ask you a question, then, my lord?
If we are to speak frankly, then if you want a frank answer, go ahead.
As you take your time to choose sides, what is it that drives your decision? What is the most important thing to you, my lord? Money, power, friendships, quiet life, drinking, women, men,
Safety.
adventure, safety. And what does
And-
that look like, my lord?
If you asked me a few years back, it looked like staying put, hiding my own neck. If you ask me now, it means gaining enough momentum to ensure that I can pay for my own safety, that I can enforce my own safety. So yes, I guess a little mix of adventure there would be valid. And of course, those who are under my protection would benefit of the same safety. Family first. You said it yourself.
I find this drive to be, whilst not quite the same as my own, something I can at least appreciate. My Lord Astor, I am not a peaceful woman. I do not do well sat at desks writing letters. I do not do well told to sit and look pretty. But I do well talking to strong men. And I do well in challenging situations. I cannot necessarily promise you a peaceful, easy life, my lord, but I can promise you my protection.
My lady, safety is not a synonym for peace. You can be at war and be safe. I'd even say that some people can be the safest they can while at war. So that is fine, and I do not have the need for a lady that sits around the house. I need someone that can complement my flaws, that can drive my spark for ingenuity, can make sure that my goals are achieved. And by sitting in my hall looking pretty, that is impossible to accomplish.
What of my goals, my lord? I have my own.
Then, and if you are so inclined to disclose them, perhaps it's something we need to discuss beforehand. And if by any chance we manage to find a middle ground that benefits us both, I'd say we'd be quite lucky.
Having spoken with your sister, I believe that things of House Tremaine are not so different from Dawn. The women are strong. They are not afraid. They are not meek.
You definitely can say so. The women of House Tremaine have a legacy of being quite their own person. No reins, no rules, no forced ideas. They all think for themselves, and sometimes that does lead to trouble.
A stubborn mule will sometimes ride up to the cliff edge.
Indeed.
And by this time you reach the hall and you see the Lord Bywater propped up on his cushions in the high seat, which has that carving we described the last time. In front of him is a plate of cut fruit, which he's picking at with his fingers, and he lights up when he sees Zamina come in. And you can see him turn, and he's waving for one of the servants who comes across with what appears to be a tapestry. And the servant lays it out, and on this tapestry you can see a number of sea creatures have been embroidered. And it seems very much they have agreed to discuss the animals and the wildlife.
No, I love
As
it.
Amina's face lights up and softens a little, and my lord, don't you look grand in that seat? And what is this? You surprise me. The strange creature. And she becomes animated in a way that she wasn't before, and she ignores you. She is done with the conversation with you, and it is just all about Declan now. And you can instantly recognize she's charming like the pants of this kid.
Yeah. Wonderful.
This kid is
Yeah,
her new best friend and the most interesting person she has ever met.
Asuka kind of stands back for a few seconds, observing the scene, and then he will pipe up. My lords, I see you are in wonderful company for today's meal. I have business to attend, but I trust you are in most capable hands in terms of stories and entertainment, so I shall take my leave, if you don't mind.
Mina wants to know about the octopus.
Ah, and who best to tell her about the octopus than Lord Bywater himself?
She said a snake is like an octopus, but just cut off one of the arms. I don't think she's right exactly, but Lady Rhiannon told me not to correct her too much because she's Dornish.
I guess it's not too dissimilar, is it? Taken, not the same, but if you think about it, huh? You must keep an open mind to new things, Declan.
Okay. It's very much the same thing, Lady Mina. They both go like this. But octopus's arms, they don't hiss and they don't bite. They just got these things. And he begins to explain what a sucker is and just goes down the whole everything I know about an octopus route. And it turns out this kid knows a lot about them. Apparently it's his favorite thing.
Nice.
And Zamina is kind of just chatting away, playing along.
I see you've got your work cut out for you, milady, so I shall take my leave. Kind of just very faintly bows and leaves and tries and go and find Allegra.
And she is in the maester's room where you expect to find her.
Mm-hmm. Knock.
Come in.
Allegra, how are you doing?
I'm still alive.
Good. Wouldn't expect anything else.
You're saying I'm too stubborn to die?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying.
You'd be right.
I know I am. He kind of
Sometimes
takes
let's
up a
not get
chair
carried
and
away.
he laughs and takes up a chair and sits next to her bedside. Now, really, how are you doing? For real? Calmer?
Yes.
Are you still sure about what we discussed?
Her eyes well up with tears again as she just nods.
Okay. Why us? Why always us?
I've had the stranger with me since I was a child, Esther. An infant. It's always going to have been us.
Is there an end? Or should I expect something soon to happen to me as well?
I don't know. I told the stranger no more. That he could take no more from me.
Allegra, what does how many mean?
And her eyes go wide and she visibly huh! Why did you hear that?
The night you got ill, I was coming to chat. I couldn't sleep properly, and I wanted to see if you were awake. And before I had the chance to check up on you, both you and Danella said those words. Danella,
spoke?
Allegra, yes. I'm sure of it.
She's spoken before, but she denied doing it.
She was sleeping. Perhaps it only happens during her sleep. I've heard of ailments, effects, things that only happen when your mind is unconscious. Perhaps it's something like that.
Perhaps. Maybe she's been afflicted with the same dreams I've been having.
Perhaps. I think you should ask her. If she has dreamt the same as you did, that would be, sadly, one more confirmation pointing towards it being real.
I can't ask her, not yet. She's been through far too much.
I understand. Honestly, there is nothing we can do. I trust that Bellamy has sent people looking for Adeline, but it will take some time to even find her, let alone bring her back. So let's not rush into things. As I said,
Listen to me.
and I meant it, it's important that you rest.
I know. Not just for my sakes either.
Exactly.
Listen to me, Asta, you need to be careful about Bellamy. He's a useful man, but I would not trust him.
I know you're right, and I thought we had some leverage with Jamie in play. I bet he knows many, many morbid secrets about Bellamy, but if what you dreamt is indeed true, then that leverage has disappeared. If possible, I would like to distance myself from Bellamy.
That would be a smart move.
But that does leave a hard topic to discuss, because the last thing that Bellamy did for us, for me, I guess, was suggest the marriage with Lady Will.
She came to talk to me,
So I've heard.
She is a very dangerous woman, Esther.
So are you.
I'm glad somebody finally recognizes that.
Well, it's good that only your allies recognize that.
Esther, you need to spend more time at court, my dear boy.
I really don't want to, but I know I have to.
You have to. I can't anymore.
What do you mean?
I'm about to give my 4th child to House Dorsey. I don't know if I will survive it. If I do, I may have another. But my role is with House Dorsey now. All of this, everything that has happened has made me appreciate what I'd left behind at Tidestore. As to how many times had I been in a situation like this where I didn't know whether or not I would ever see my children again. I can't deprive them of their mother.
I understand, but surely there's some sort of compromise that you can do. Perhaps they can spend some time at Famine's Hold, perhaps even here at Belsey.
Esther, if you think I'm taking my children to that cursed castle, you have another thing coming.
It's not cursed. It's
Isn't it?
just a streak of bad luck, that's all.
Maybe you should visit more often. Isla
Perhaps
was,
I will.
what, 2 the last time you saw her?
Yes, probably.
You haven't even met Misha and Carrie.
You're right. Not being the best uncle I could have been.
You were doing what you had to.
And
But
still
I
am.
can't continue to be torn between 2 houses. For both of our sakes. And I think... And she places a hand on Esther's cheek. I think you're going to do a very good job as Lord. I've seen you grow. I've seen you learn. And I know that the house will be safe with you.
I don't know if I can do it alone. Everyone's gone, Allegra. It's only you left.
Everyone is gone, but I'm only just a raven away. I can give you advice that you will ignore. If ever we need, House Dorsey can send whatever we can to you. And should you ever need to get away from your new wife, well, there'll always be a room at Tidestore for you.
I don't like it. I don't like any of it.
We all have to do it, Asta. We all have to take that step. I did it at 17. When I left, it was scary. It's terrifying. But I did it. And now it's your turn to take that step. I can hold your hand for now, but I'm going to have to let go soon.
Yes, of course. Sorry. Forgive me. It's not your job to help me. It's not. You have your family, have your children. I understand. Then you should be with them. That's true. I ask that you stay out of selfishness, of course.
Master, despite everything we've been through and everything I've said to you, I will always love you. And after having spoken with the Lady Will, I've given her my blessing.
Kind of, there's a little, wait, what? Face. Wait. But 2 days ago, there was. What happened?
I spoke to her. I understood who she was and where she's coming from. And I promised her that if she ever hurt you, I would kill her.
Okay. Great start, I guess.
So, I'm going to tell you now to go to her, make that proposal, marry that woman, and have a happy life. Now, get out of my room before you make me cry.
No, wait, damn it. No, wait.
What?
Wait.
And she's like, Allegra's like,
yeah.
Blinking.
Same, you see, like, he's almost like, his eyes are so watery at this point. He kind of breathes in deeply once. Allegra, there is no one else in the entire continent that I would take advice like this in a second. Despite all our disagreements, I know that you've always cared about me and the family and the house, and you always did what you thought was best for us. And I want you to know that I appreciate it. I appreciate you. And I love you, sister. He kind of just hugs her a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Not
and she
too
reaches
hard.
up and hugs him, kisses his cheek. And she whispers back, I love you too, Esther. Now get out.
Okay. Yes. You're not leaving soon because you can't. So we shall speak again. For now.
Get out, Esther!
Ah, okay. And he leaves.
All right. And on that door close, we are going to cut across to Adeline and Della and their cart of the dead. And we're going to have moved on in time. We're going to have seen that the landscapes have changed. And Adeline, I'm going to ask, where are you taking this cart? You've had to dodge Targaryen men. Della has been not feverish because there's no temperature, but definitely in and out of things. She's not been fully lucid for this journey. So Tim has been worried but has shut up after kind of provoking you into telling him to do so more than once.
I think she's going to the next big town because we need to get rid of this cart, take care of everyone. And what she wants to do is go to something where she can send a message back home.
Okay. For the sake of the fact we unfortunately have limited time tonight, this is kind of how I'm going to play this. It's a little bit janky, but this is how we'll do it. So you reach a town, but on the road to this town is a roadblock. And stood in the middle of the road is an old enemy. The Lord Bloodraven is waiting. He has with him Targaryen guard, but is casual, as if he knows exactly where you're going to be. There is parked to one side a cart, and the other side all of their horses. There is no way for you to pass into this town with your cart, except for through this blockade. You would have to go around, and it would be dangerous, and it's one of these towns that's kind of surrounded by things that are hard for a cart to get through. Boggy land, and then trees and the like. He holds his hand up for you to stop.
Mm-hmm. She does that. She knows Bloodraven's reputation, his standing, his skill, and there's no place to go if he means to talk to us or capture us. She'll take the cart close to them. She'll put her hand on Bella's shoulders reassuringly. She'll stand and she'll walk toward Bloodraven.
Adeline
No bow.
Tremaine.
She'll leave her bow. Yep. Yes. Bloodraven.
I have come to collect my brother.
I'm sorry that I could not help him or save him. She looks sad, just looks at the ground. I was thinking about what to do if I should take him back home, but now that you say it, maybe he would have wanted this.
He gives a half nod, and two of his men approach the cart.
I know your reputation, and you must know why we were here.
His one eye is locked on you.
Witches that wish to end some future calamity. And that, to them, meant killing all Targaryens.
Popular conspiracy. And tell me, Adeline, traitor, where do you fall
What?
within it?
Traitor. I only helped your brother.
Was that the case on Red Grass Field?
I only meant to help my family. I have no urge to get in the business of dragons. Just to have my loved ones safe. I buried my resentment towards your side when the war ended.
My side. If you do not care for the name traitor, how about murderess?
That one. I will absolutely take on. Which one? Was it the Gaunt, of course?
You tell me which one, Adeline.
At least the Gaunt. I had reason. We all do things in war. We don't necessarily believe it, but we do. And young lords.
And what of her? His gaze, you see that eye move to Della, who is still kind of slumped in the cart.
What about her?
For what crime should she be punished, do you think? Conspiracy?
I did not.
Treason? Witchcraft? Accomplice?
Surely not the third. I see that she has done nothing. Who knows how she got there or how those witches might have used her. Who knows how she was taken in by them.
What name would you give this woman?
Reformed.
And what name was she given on her name's day?
Delegant.
Arrest them. And the Targaryen men move in. He stands stock still before you. The men are quick to the cart, and Della cannot put up much of a fight, although she does attempt to strike out at them with fists. But she's weak, and it is not much of a struggle. Sir Tim sits up and reaches for his sword, but the Targaryens are quicker. They push him down into the mud and out of their way. One comes to either of your sides, with rope in hand to bind your wrists. What do you do, Adeline?
Shh. She's going to dash for the cart.
Okay. Jealousy, quickness. Make the roll. What is your intention with this dash? Right now there are 4 Targaryen men around it. 2 have Jaime in hand and 2 have Della in hand.
To get her bow.
Alright, make that dash.
15.
Okay, on a 15, you get up and onto the cart and you snatch up your bow.
Dragon.
What is your action? Okay, make an effort. Traitor.
I was given one mission by a loved one. The one I was sent to find.
So was I. And he has pulled his bow quickly off of his back. And it's a weirwood bow, bent and crafted, as far as you are aware, no other like it. And an arrow knocked on the string. You may react if you'd like, but he is set to fire this. I'm going to just tell you that now, Shauna, for the meta. He's going to release this arrow. So it's up to you what you do.
I was sent to protect your kin.
Make a
Valerian.
persuasion convince if you are lying.
No.
Then it will be a deception. Alright.
$12.
Which one? Or all of them?
One in particular.
A name.
Different Valerian.
Good. And he releases the arrow. It's 10, 19, 22, 26, 32.
Yep, definitely.
Alright.
I think
This...
her.
How many sixes, Charlie, were in there, huh?
Only 2.
Oh, fuck.
Whoa!
He has a lot of dice, and 13. I'm at 13, so.
Alright. So that's gonna be 5, 10. No, that's not right. Hold on. Gotta check. Alright. For the sake of speed, it's a lot of damage. You are at minimum gonna pass out from this, if not die. Yeah. So what is Adeline's final moment of consciousness as this arrow comes straight out and strikes her center of chest?
She has a thought. So this time, of all the times, it's my turn. And she'll pass.
I watch the dragons. And you are unaware of what transpires in the next moments. But you are aware when you are dragged into King's Landing Court to face the judgment of the king, the crime of high treason and conspiracy to slay the Targaryen line, based on the testimony of a number of individuals, including Allegra Dorsey. Danella is beside you. And in your cell, she has been muttering for the last 2 weeks about the Mother of Beasts and Ashes. and the longest night that she will bear. And of a darkness that creeps after the Targaryen line, because it is not over yet. And the words anger her jailers. They've gagged her a number of times and beaten her. And if they can get away with it, they beat you too. But now you are here, aching, your wound barely treated, as the king declares you guilty. And in the crowd, Allegra Dorsey, Lord Astra Tremaine, Lady Zemina Will, Lord Wendell Gaunt, and a number of other familiar faces to us, including the Lady Delilah Baratheon, who stands near Prince Valar. Shauna, Adeline is sentenced to execution, and she will be taken to meet such an end this afternoon. I don't want to play the scene, but I would like to offer you the chance to describe a truth.
Ooh.
There are many secrets, some of them big, some of them small, and some of them terrifying. Shauna, what is one truth about the execution of Adeline Tremaine and Della Gaunt?
Ooh, my brain just like froze up. Oh no. Ooh.
Okay, how about this? While you think about it, let's have a moment to have Allegra and Asta discuss the scene that they've just had in court, where this sentence has been given. It was a very brief trial. Pretty much Bloodraven said yes, and it was one and done. But the letter was read in court, and the Lady Allegra Tremaine was thanked for her assistance, along with begrudgingly House Tremaine, which Bellamy smiled at. So what do you say to each other as your cousin has been sentenced to execution?
It is what it is.
I feel sick.
I'm using every muscle in my body to make sure that I don't vomit here now.
Allegra takes Asta's hand. For as much as we loved her, she did betray us. I know she thinks that she didn't. She had her own motives, her own reason for doing what she did, but she betrayed us, Asta.
Yes. Ultimately, I think she did.
Because of her, because of that Della, and Allegra spits the name Della. Jamie is dead, and Tala is still missing.
But it wasn't her fault. Della should be the one to pay for the crimes.
She brought Della into our lives.
It's funny to think just a single person you know nothing about. Just a name, an ominous name, flying in the air above you. It caused so much
damage.
harm.
don't relish this, but we should be here. We should watch. We should be with her in her final moments. We owe it to her.
Of course.
As her family.
Of course. I shouldn't beat myself over it. I did what I could. I did more than what I should have done.
Yes, you did, my lord.
Wouldn't have done it if it was now. But what is in the past is in the past. We have a hopefully brighter future ahead of us. Let this be the last mark of tragedy.
Shauna, what is the truth? Muted, friend.
Due to the state that they did not want any of them to have any last words or any last second declarations that could inflame things. They bind them, hang them, bag over the head before they're executed.
The truth I will add. 2 women bound are taken to a pyre that is constructed at King's Landing, right before the sea. Their faces covered, mouths gagged. And when the fire ignites, it is wild and green. And nothing remains when it is burnt to ash. But Allegra, you have a dream. You made an agreement. And you see in your dream a place where a tree has been struck by lightning more than once. You see Adeline stood with the blood raven. A deal has been made. And you watch as Adeline mounts up onto a horse, rides into the woods. And Bloodraven turns to look at you and smiles. This is where we will end the Crownlands Season 2. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone in chat as we leave on a mystery. The thing I will add is that Marguerite Dorsey did not die at dinner. She did not die stumbling down the stairs. She did not get struck down during a particularly dramatic bedtime story. In fact, no one quite knows how the Tempest of Cracklaw Point died. Just that her body washed up upon the shore, same place as the Lady Erica Dorsey's had been found. I would like to give each of my players the chance to tell me, or rather to describe for me, a glimpse, a 10-second glimpse into the lives of their character 2 years from now. I am going to begin with Susanna Grace, who plays Allegra Dorsey.
Oh, hi, it's me. So in 2 years' time, Allegra is sat with her children. Her, the child she's been carrying has been born, is now 2 years old, is cuddled up with them. Hang on, let me just do a quick flip. It was a girl. And Allegra is braiding her hair which is dark in the Tremaine colors, and not Tremaine, Bywater, dark hair,
Bywater.
and like her father's, who is definitely Yanis Dorsey. By the way, that's the reveal. This kid is Yanis's kid, and she is sat braiding this kid's hair as she is telling her all about her Uncle Jamie, for whom she is named.
Okay. Going over to Nuno, who plays the Lord Aster Tremaine. What is the glimpse we get?
So 2 years from now, I like to think the scene starts with just Aster riding on a horse, the only thing that can be seen. He's grown a bit of a beard, keeps it well tidy and groomed. A sign of maturity, a sign of I'm old now. And the air around him almost seems to shimmer as if it's quite warm outside. And as the camera kind of pans out, riding beside him is Lady Zemina Will. And they seem to be riding together, quite happy, smiling face. And as the camera kind of zooms out a little bit more, you see as they approach what seems to be a castle of sorts, a house, a Dornish house, perhaps. No, definitely. House Will, as they return together as a married couple to visit Zemina's brother. And as the scene kind of fades, Aster kind of stretches his hand towards the other horse and just rubs Zemina's belly ever so slightly as the scene fades.
And Shauna plays the once Lady Adeline Tremaine. What is the glimpse we get?
You see a hooded figure overlooking a town. Small town. She's been sitting there for days. And she thinks to herself, what did you do to get the ire? She sees a figure in the window, in the hearth. Releases an arrow. It's done.
And we hear
How
a
many?
whisper from behind. A laugh. The words are spoken. How many? How many eyes has the blood raven? 1,001. And that, my friends, is all we have time for tonight. What I would like to do is invite anyone who has any questions or wants to talk about this over to the Discord. We have a channel over there. There's a lot to do and to debrief, and unfortunately, or I should say fortunately, really, we have the wonderful Dr. RPG afterwards, where you will see Susanna Grace and the wonderful Shauna in action again. So I don't want to keep them. I want to make sure they get a little break to stretch and breathe. But I want to say massive thank you to everyone who has appeared on the Crownlands this season and last season. Massive thank you to all of our guests. A thank you to all of you who have contributed in story. Please do come back Mondays 3 p.m. next season, which will be beginning October 26th. We've moved it a week to allow for some additional production scheming and things. And we are going to the north. And that is about all I will say. Any last plugs, friends, from the cast that I do have with me here tonight? Let's start with Aster, and we'll go clockwise around the three.
Whoa. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for following what was in my opinion, a brilliant last session. I loved it. It was amazing. Yeah, we don't have much time, so I'm just going to say I'm Nunu. You can find me online at jnunutex. I'm having a little break from social media now as I finish some real life things. I will continue to play over with No Initiative on the Chromatic Chimera Twitch channel for now when I can, but once I finish some stuff that I really need to finish, hopefully I'll come back for something. Meanwhile, just stay safe, care for each other, and see you next time.
Keep rolling ones, Nuno. You're the best.
I'll never stop.
And Shauna.
Ooh, shaking a little bit, but yep. Ooh, can't wait. Ooh, yeah, I get Shauna Flying Zeros on Twitter. You can see the art that I do and the games I'm on, including it's finale week for a lot of shows for me, including the last sort of Kalis on Thursday. We're gonna get in a ship fight on the channel on Thursday, and then on Saturday it's gonna be the finale of Rapscallion game, Black Flag, Pirate game on Wonder DM, where there'll be surely some supernatural business happening as we try and save one of our crew. But yeah, that's it for me. Keep an eye out. There should be some cool things happening. Next time, y'all.
And a final thank you, Shauna, for all of the art you have done for the Game of Thrones games here. It's outstanding. Check it out on screen, and you can also go and find it over on our Wild Anvil, where I will be uploading some more stuff. And if you're on our Patreon, there will also be an art pack coming up very soon, featuring the wonderful characters you see. Susanna Grace, tell your husband we're busy.
Hello, sorry, I just got a Tim's delivery from my husbando. Yeah, dang, holy crap, what an ending. I nearly cried a whole bunch today. I hate endings, but hopefully we'll see Tremaine's again, who knows? And, you know, it was definitely always Yanis's baby. I don't know why anyone ever thought otherwise. What is wrong with you all? But yeah, so you can catch me on Tuesday, tomorrow, for Secrets of Pendragon. And then if you like Game of Thrones and you've enjoyed this campaign, we have a sister campaign on twitch.tv/follow Black Cats called After the Fire. We are still currently on our mid-season break, but next week we are back with some juicy ass fruits, my friends. So please tune in for that and watch me become the Queen of Dawn, which I rightfully am. So come in and tune in for that. That's at 3 p.m. Eastern.
Hype, hype, hype. All right, I am unmuted. Good. I was having a minor panic because I was off setting up for the next show. But we do have a next show, and that is Dr. RPG. Please stay tuned. It's going to be really fun. It's our skit show that's kind of inspired by like call-in radio shows, kind of like Frasier. We have you all calling in as wonderful RPG characters with your questions, and our theme tonight is murder. What better theme following tonight's show? I would also like to shout out Cobalt Press, who tonight at 8 p.m. have another lesson in deep magic with a wonderful half-assed hermit and her Chaos Chorus crew. So please be sure to join us for that. Why can I not find the Dr. RPG logo? There it is. I'm a professional. Massive shout out to Sam and Millie, who I adore and love, and to their characters Jamie and Tala. Who knows where Tala is in 2 years? Maybe we can ask Millie to give us an idea. I would like to think she has returned at least once to the home. But for now, we do close this chapter, and I hope for a brand new one in the future. If you would like to join us in any of our shows, join the Discord. We're posting casting calls right now. 2 more are coming up. But until next time, roll all the nat ones, because that's where the story lives. Take care, everybody. See you soon.
Adeline, what have you done? Murdered a god, now they want someone. Allegra points the finger, but the case is done now. Revenge is a dish that's best served cold. Gone away the feast outside your hold. You hope they buy that lie you told. Crown lands, the fire's meant for our head. Keep close the secrets or you'll end up dead. Here in the land with the wedding's red. Crown lands, the fire's meant for our head. Keep close your secrets. red. Here in the lands with the weddings red. Now